You were not released. You were reassigned. This ache in your spirit isn't confusion. It's confirmation. Was it a goodbye or a beginning cloaked in silence? Was the distance sent by the enemy or permitted by heaven to awaken your obedience? Because some bonds are not broken, they are buried until the appointed time to rise again, refined, repurposed, reborn. Stay, because what you're about to hear may explain why you were left carrying the weight when they walked away carrying nothing. Why God let the connection linger, even after the chapter seemed closed. This is Chosen One's sanctuary, where the scrolls hidden in your pain are finally unsealed, and the ones God marked are called back to the battlefield. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, Psalm 37:23. But sometimes the step is backward, so the spirit can move forward. Today, we open a scroll that explains why the person you can't seem to forget might not be the distraction you thought, but the assignment you almost surrendered. Stay, because the signs that are about to unfold may explain your entire life. Marked by heaven, fought by hell. You weren't drawn to them. You were assigned. Heaven scripted that encounter before you took your first breath. Before you were formed in the womb, God didn't just know you. He scheduled collisions that would shape your calling. But what you felt as sudden was written in eternity's ink. And the moment you crossed paths with them, the realm of darkness took notice. The enemy saw it first. Not the chemistry, but the consequence. He saw what would happen if two chosen ones aligned in obedience. Not romance, resonance. Not comfort, kingdom ignition. That's why hell hit fast. That's why the attacks began before anything even began. The warfare wasn't random, it was reactionary. You were marked, and the marking made you a threat. Esther was not crowned for beauty. She was positioned for preservation. David wasn't anointed for applause. He was chosen for battle. And you were marked not for ease, but for execution of heaven's plan. The fight you felt wasn't over emotion, it was over mission. Now ask yourself, if this connection meant nothing, why did darkness try to destroy it from the start? You weren't delayed. You were disguised in silence until the hour of release. When silence feels like rejection. Silence isn't always the absence of God. Sometimes it's the sound of heaven holding its breath. You thought they left because you weren't enough. But what if God pulled them back so you could be refined? Moses was hidden in the wilderness for 40 years, not because he failed, but because his fire needed focus. Joseph sat in prison, not because he was abandoned, but because his dream required discipline. And you misread the silence as rejection, when it was actually recalibration. God had to quiet the noise so you could hear the whisper. He had to remove the distraction to reveal your dimension. He had to withhold their presence to release your authority. The heartbreak didn't kill your calling. It clarified it. The silence wasn't absence. It was divine surveillance. But now, the silence is cracking. And what was hidden is being reactivated. The pain that prepares. Pain is the chisel heaven uses to shape the chosen. Every tear was a tool. Every sleepless night a sculptor's strike. You were not being broken. You were being forged. Peter's denial didn't disqualify him. It positioned him for Pentecost. Hannah's weeping didn't prove weakness. It prepared her womb for a prophet. Your heartbreak wasn't punishment. It was prophetic pregnancy. God used the conflict with them not to torment you, but to train you. Not to destroy you, but to deliver something through you. The confusion you felt wasn't chaos. It was contraction. And some of you are in labor right now. Not with a relationship, but with revelation. If you're still here, still breathing, still feeling, comment 4/4 as a prophetic sign. You are still listening and still receiving, because this scroll is still unsealing. The danger of walking away too soon. There is a greater danger than heartbreak. It is the danger of quitting too early, when the scroll is only half read. What if the very tension you feel is the sign that you're standing on sacred ground? The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. But he doesn't rob empty vaults. He attacks what heaven sealed for impact. If the enemy can't destroy you directly, he will distract you emotionally. He'll dress fear in logic. He'll cloak avoidance in peace. He'll whisper, "Let go. It's too messy." When what God is saying is, "Hold on, I'm still moving." Naomi told Ruth to go, but Ruth refused, and legacy was born through loyalty. Some connections are not meant to be escaped. They are meant to be endured until they produce inheritance. The storm doesn't mean it's over. It means the ark is in motion. The war behind the curtain. Let's speak plainly now. You are under spiritual attack, not because you are weak, but because you are carrying weight. Hell studies patterns, and when the enemy saw this connection ordained, he launched an early strike. Not through chaos, through erosion, distraction, delusion, delay. He whispered lies in the dark and sowed seeds in your memory. He turned small offenses into flaming arrows. He magnified their flaws and minimized your discernment. Because if he can't stop your anointing, he'll sabotage your agreement. If he can't silence your voice, he'll try to isolate your spirit. But listen, he only attacks what he fears. You were dangerous the moment you discerned this wasn't about romance. This was about remnant-level purpose. You weren't targeted because of what you did. You were targeted because of who you are becoming. And the battle behind the bond proves it. You carry authority in this bond. You weren't just chosen to feel. You were chosen to fight. Chosen ones do not war with emotion. They war with intercession. When God gives you a bond with weight, He also gives you the authority to war for it. David didn't just write psalms, he slayed giants. Your words carry force. Your prayers shift atmospheres. Your alignment with this assignment is not optional. It is spiritually required. They may have left, pulled back, run cold. But your authority isn't bound by distance. Speak, declare, cover them in the spirit like a watchman on the wall. Because your voice is not noise. Your voice is strategy. You weren't called to fix them. You were called to unlock them. This isn't about them. It's about what's coming. Every chosen one is tied to a scroll, and some scrolls don't open until two destinies touch. That person wasn't just a character in your story. They were a key to your commissioning. What if their flaws are forcing you to grow? What if their silence is teaching you surrender? What if their inconsistency is developing your spiritual consistency? When God writes a connection into your scroll, He doesn't erase it lightly. Abraham needed Sarah. Paul needed Silas. Esther needed Mordecai. Even Jesus leaned on Gethsemane. You weren't meant to walk this out alone. You weren't called to be a hero. You were called to become a remnant. This isn't about comfort. It's about kingdom consequence. And what's coming will require both of you to be awakened. The remnant remembers. You are not the only one who still feels it, who still prays, who still weeps when no one's watching. There are others like you across the earth, chosen ones who are carrying the fragments of unfinished assignments. And one by one, God is calling them back to the battlefield. This isn't nostalgia. It's recollection, not of the past, but of your people. You are not just remembering a person. You are being remembered by the movement. There are those who will stand with you, who will not run, will not fold, will not let go of what heaven still holds sacred. Welcome back to the remnant. What echoes beyond you? The story was never just about you. It was always about what would echo through you. Your obedience has a ripple. Your endurance has an echo, and your restoration will become someone else's revival. This connection, whether restored, repurposed, or released, will be a weapon in someone else's war. You must finish what God started, not for the outcome, but for the obedience. You weren't called to save them. You were called to obey Him. Because when heaven echoes through your life, the nations hear it. The timelines shift, the scrolls open, and the silence finally speaks. You weren't losing them. You were locating yourself. Because sometimes God doesn't sever a bond to end it. He stretches it to sanctify what still carries His breath. You are not here by chance. You are not still watching by coincidence. You are here because the heavens remembered your name. Chosen one, you have walked through the valley of silence. You have tasted the fire of separation. You have warred in prayer when no one else saw the tears. And yet you did not turn back. Heaven watched. And today, heaven answers. You are not confused. You are consecrated. You are not stuck. You are standing at the veil of destiny. And the next step you take will not just shift your story. It will shake something in the spirit. You have been marked. You have been tested. And now, you are being trusted. If this word confirmed what your soul already knew but couldn't name, comment 777 below. Let it be a prophetic sign to heaven and earth. You still believe. Share what part of this message pierced your spirit or reopened your scroll. Your voice may stir someone else's release. And if this is your sanctuary, your spiritual home on the battlefield, subscribe now to Chosen One's Sanctuary. You are not alone. You are the next echo.